Hello, and thank you for joining us today in our study of the book of Psalms. Today we're in Psalm 47, and here in this psalm, we are going to see a time of rejoicing, a time of praise, a time of celebration. It's not a very long psalm, and there's a couple of things I want to point out here as we get through the reading of the psalm to focus our minds a little bit on what's being discussed. But let's see, first of all, what the psalm says. In Psalm 47, beginning in verse 1, we read, "O clap your hands, all you peoples. Shout to God with the voice of triumph. For the Lord Most High is awesome. He is a great king over all the earth. He will subdue the peoples under us and the nations under our feet. He will choose our inheritance for us, the excellence of Jacob, whom he loves. God has gone up with a great shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. Sing praises to God, sing praises. Sing praises to our King, sing praises. For God is the King of all the earth. Sing praises with understanding. God reigns over the nations. God sits on his holy throne. The princes of the people have gathered together, the people of the God of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong to God. He is greatly exalted." Here in Psalm 47, you once again have this idea of this celebration, this rejoicing that is taking place. But let's notice a couple of things briefly from this psalm. First of all, notice in verse 2 that in introducing God, it is stated that God is awesome, that the Most High is awesome. Now, generally, when we use that word, we use it out of a standard of excitement. We say that something is awesome, that it's inspiring, that it fills us with wonder, and that's usually the way we use the term. But that's not exactly the type of term that is being used here with the idea of awesome. Here it is used from the sense of to be full of awe by instilling fear, and that it is actually the fear that God instills that they are in wonderment about. Notice what it says: "Shout to God with the voice of triumph, for the Lord Most High is awesome. He is a great king over all the earth. He will subdue the peoples under us and the nations under our feet." In other words, it is going to be the nations round about that are going to look at God in awe and fear for what he has done. It's going to be similar to the way that the peoples of the land of Canaan looked at the children of Israel when they started to come into the land in the days of Joshua. They are described as having their hearts melted because they knew that God could not be defeated, as is discussed by Rahab in Joshua chapter 2. And so you have this idea of God being awesome, and yet that's not a flippant term that is being utilized. It is a descriptive term of the kind of reactions that the power and the ability of God brings about in mankind. But the second thing I want us to notice is found down in verse 7, where there the statement is made, "For God is the King of all the earth, sing praises with understanding." Now, there are many occasions where this idea of understanding is going to be utilized, especially when you look at the book of Proverbs and things of that nature, where understanding is know what you're doing, know why you're doing it, understand what it is that is going on. But again, here we have some poetic terminology that's being utilized in the midst of this psalm that is slightly different in its rendering. Because here, the idea of sing psalms does carry with it the idea of singing and playing and those kinds of things, but it's with understanding. And the term here is one of the terms for a specific type of song. It is called a wisdom song more times than not. It is a song of recognition that knows what is going on. And so God is the King of all the earth. Sing praises with understanding. Sing, rejoice knowing what is going on and knowing who sits on the throne. For God reigns over the nations, he says, they say, verse 8. God sits on his holy throne. And so it is the case that here the call is for a specific type of song from the Jewish perspective that elaborates upon and recognizes who God is and what God does and the place that God holds. This psalm, though short, is truly one of celebration and of rejoicing for what God does for his people. He is greatly exalted through these things. But there are several little nuances like this in this psalm that help us to see the nature of what is being described. And sometimes it doesn't always translate immediately or easily into our language, our society, and our way of doing things. And so it's helpful sometimes to have just a little bit more information about what is being discussed. So these are some of the things that I've seen and learned from Psalm 47. I hope that they are beneficial to you. Next time, we'll come back and we'll begin looking at Psalm 48. I hope that you'll join us then. But until then, have a great day.